Good morning. It is 7:06 a.m. on Friday, January 18th, 2019. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. So, I woke up very dehydrated this morning. That's been an ongoing challenge here on this trip. With here in the winter, the air in general is very dry outside, like it's a dry season here. But then also on top of that, when it's very cold, normal climate control systems don't generally reintroduce humidity into the air. And so here's a little bit of meteorological physics for you. When air is cold, it can't hold as much moisture. And so even if you wanted to say it was 100% humidity, relative humidity, if the air is cold, that's not as much moisture as if the air is warm. So what happens is when it's dry and cold outside, and then you heat up the air, it makes it even drier because now the warm air inside could hold more moisture, but the amount of actual moisture in the air doesn't increase. And so now what you get is already dry cold air becomes extremely dry air, warm air, and that can just suck the moisture out of you, and you get dehydrated unless you really stay on top of it and are proactive about drinking. So when you go out for dinner with coworkers and have beer and soju, that doesn't translate to staying on top of getting dehydrated. I mean, it could, I suppose, but anyway, it's not, I didn't get wasted or anything, but I did not follow up the beer and soju with enough water to keep myself from feeling dehydrated this morning, which is ultimately the point. I wasn't really intending that to be a whole big dinner outing, but we have a couple of new co-workers here on site that have arrived. They actually don't work for the same company as me, but they're also contractors working for this client. And so we went out to dinner, and that correlated it with the same time with last night was the last night here in country for one of my co-workers. And so going out to dinner was kind of a goodbye and a hello, and it was a whole thing. And somehow it turned into this whole odyssey where so-and-so had heard about a place, a Chi-Mek place, which is chicken and beer, essentially. And I had seen a sign that said chicken and beer, so I assumed that was the place we were talking about. And everyone got it in their head that that's where we were going. And then it turned out that that sign was for a place that's actually not there anymore. And then it turned into a whole thing where, like, oh, so-and-so who really knows Korea actually now thinks that we have to go to a Chi-Mek place, and it seems like that's a very specific thing, apparently, not just a place where you can get fried chicken and beer, but just like it's like a thing. And I'm like, okay, which I don't object to, but at the same time, what ended up happening is we ended up walking for 15 minutes past dozens of restaurants in search of this mythical Chi-Mek place, which we didn't end up actually. I mean, we ended up having fried chicken and beer only to have the person who really cared about these things tell us that it was not what they had in mind. So I don't know. I don't want to be overly dismissive of this person because I think what happened is that they kind of got it in that they sort of took charge for trying to deliver a specific experience for the group, and it was kind of not going well. So I think that was maybe part of what happened there. Ultimately, it was fine. I mean, we ended up having fried chicken and beer, and it was pretty good as far as I could tell. So I'm not sure what was missing from the expectations. But yeah, so we had fried chicken and beer and soju, and we weren't out late, but it did take up the majority of my evening, so I didn't really do much else other than that. I've been trying to this week really proactively make sure I'm getting enough sleep, which is good, especially getting over being sick last weekend. But it also has just resulted in me feeling like I haven't accomplished very much this week. Like I'm doing, work, but I mean, creative projects. Anyway, that's what I got up to last night. So I hope you have a good end of your week, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.